Good evening, everybody. This is Brian Newbert here from GoldandBlack.com, live in Lexington, Kentucky. This is your GoldandBlack.com RUP video. See what I did there? From Purdue's, what was the score here? Hang on one second. Very professional of me. 78-65 exhibition loss at Kentucky. This was obviously number 1 Purdue versus number 9 Kentucky on Kentucky's home floor. Kentucky's down some guys, got a lot of new guys. Purdue has a lot of old guys, returning guys, and but this is what Purdue signs up for. I think it's kind of misconstrued a bit in the court of public opinion, and perhaps I'm partly responsible for the way I frame these things, but nobody wants to lose these games. What they want to do is they want to be challenged to their absolute breaking point in a hostile environment, and if they lose, they want to take positives from it. And Matt Painter will tell you, I just want to go get our ass kicked. That doesn't necessarily mean losing. That means being tested, pushed to your absolute breaking point. And if you do lose and you make something positive out of it, that's the best case scenario. If you win, cool. This group of Purdue players has been through enough games now where you shouldn't necessarily need confidence or your confidence boosted. But you do have new guys on this team. You do have guys playing new roles on this team, and experiencing success is never a bad thing. But they did not do that here tonight. Same as was the case at Arkansas. Also known as Game 7 of the NBA Finals around Fayetteville, Arkansas, as was the case at Creighton last season. Purdue is not afraid to go lose. They don't want to lose, but I don't think they're afraid to, and I think that speaks volumes about Matt Painter's eye on the big picture in these types of things. I expected Purdue to be a little bit sharper, a little bit better. At this point, this is probably a team with enough experience to coach itself. We talk a lot about players-only meetings in sports. I think we should normalize players-only games. Let's see what happens. Let's let Fletcher Loyer call the plays. I'm not trying to diminish Matt Painter and his staff's role in this, but Purdue has so much coming back and so much knowledge and so much body of work that this group could probably go out there and just do what it's been doing for 4 years together and be pretty good. And I think a lot of that was muted tonight by poor shooting. I think Purdue's proven itself as a shooting team. I think if you're freaking out, if you're a YouTuber who has is it time to start worrying about Purdue graphic all ready to roll, you might want to hold off, because Purdue's not going to shoot 18% from 3 again this season, most likely. And if it does, it is going to be better defensively than it was here tonight. Purdue is not very good defensively in this game. I think if you watch this on the SEC network, you probably saw a team that still is vulnerable to the initial dribble, giving up the paint, putting Purdue in rotations, things like that. Purdue lost a lot of cutters in the half court. Purdue, through its three-point shooting and a handful of turnovers, allowed Kentucky a head of steam at times to get into a semi-transition offense, and that's precisely the stuff Purdue needs to avoid. You know what would have helped, guys? A scouting report, preparation. Again, I don't think Purdue wants to lose these games, but it damn sure does not fully prepare to have to win these games. If this were a regular season game, Purdue would have gone back and watched film of every one of these guys at whatever school they were at last year, and they would have had a scouting report, much like the one Kentucky clearly had on Trey Kaufman-Rand in this game. They prepared, clearly. I don't think anybody wants to lose on their home floor. I think everybody prepares to win when they're playing at home. I think that's part of the benefit of going on the road for these games, too, is not only are you in a hostile environment, not only are you out of your comfort zone, especially for your new guys, but you're also going to be playing a opponent more motivated to win than you. Again, Purdue does not want to lose per se, but I think the home team is always going to want to win these games much more than the visiting team does. Just 2 years ago, Eric Musselman was watching film of Shaquille O'Neal in 1992. I don't think he was joking about that. His assistant coaches told people that they were fully invested in making that a game Arkansas won. And Purdue just kind of went out there and played and pushed that game to overtime. And then, I don't think the Arkansas community really understood the big picture of all of that. They're probably still rage watching me, so I like to throw them a little Easter egg here and there. Anyway, Purdue has a lot to work on here, clearly. I think that the defensive detail is going to be a big part of this. The dribble containment is going to be a huge part of this, as it was all summer. It's not like we're just waking up here today, and I'm telling you, Purdue needs to do a better job containing the dribble. This has been their deal ever since the end of last season. This was their deal all year last year. You have size behind those guys right now. That doesn't mean you have to rely on it. That doesn't mean you can let up against the dribble. You've got to protect the lane, especially in that initial surge. You can't give up straight line drives. You can't get in rotations and leave that shooter open in the corner, things like that. Purdue's just got to do a better job there. Again, a scouting report would have helped. But there was some basic stuff that, I don't think you necessarily need to watch 15 hours of film to pick up on that could have been better here tonight. Purdue's better than this. I think that you don't draw too much from this. The game doesn't count. That's the most important part of this. The game doesn't count. So Purdue will be better when it's fully prepared. Purdue will be better after it's practiced a few times. With this game in mind, fresh in mind, Purdue will be better when the shooting normalizes. That covers up a lot of this stuff. Purdue is still going to be one of the best offensive teams in college basketball this year, if not the best. But it's not going to shoot 18% from three. Trey Kaufman-Wren's not going to miss 5, sweet spot shots in the first half alone that he makes, 70% of. There's just a lot of stuff here that Purdue is really high percentage on. That's just not their reality. And you're going to see that as soon as the, proverbial lights come on here and the games start to count. You will never, ever, again this season in a first half, see Purdue play without Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Wren at the same time. Matt Painter is just mad scientist mode here tonight and just throwing stuff at the wall to see what works. Braden Smith and Omer Meyer barely practice together because they're always going head-to-head with one another, being the team's 2 point guards. So they're just out there figuring it out on the fly in a game like this. So to say that Purdue did everything in its power to put itself in the best position possible, to win this game, just wouldn't be accurate. Credit to Kentucky. They're down a couple guys here. They got some dudes. They got some guys on this team that are pretty good. Jasper Johnson making a couple of those straight out of overtime elite threes in ISO situations, burning Purdue when it was really good on defense. Malachi Moreno, who I've seen play 100 times, probably literally 100 times. I can't say probably literally, can I? 100 times, at least 100 times, because I covered him in recruiting since he was a freshman. He was Luke Ertl's AAU teammate for the longest time before all those seniors graduated, leaving Ertl behind to be the lone senior on his team this year. I've seen Malachi Moreno play probably more than anybody other than like Matt Painter and Mark Pope and his coaches. That's obviously embellishment, but he's a dude. He is going to be a Jared Allen type NBA guy in the long run, and I think Purdue's much better up front than it was last year, but still, your backup 4 and 5 is a redshirt freshman converted wing playing the 4, and a basically freshman Daniel Jacobson coming off a broken leg, who's still, his body is still a work in progress, and there are going to be some opportunities there for people to try to bully him and really try to take it to him physically that he's going to have to rise to the challenge of. But I thought Purdue got exposed a little bit on the glass when they were small, and I'm counting 7'4" Daniel Jacobson as part of the small lineup. But I think that a lot of these guys are going to get better as they settle in. And this was who was it? I think it was Fletcher. I don't know. It all runs together. I think it was Fletcher Lawyer that said this was a quiz before the test. And that is a pretty good way to put it. You don't want to flunk your quizzes because generally they count toward your final grade too. But in this case, they drop your lowest grade. So failing the quiz doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This outcome does not matter right now. Where it might matter is if it reverberates through the season, I think the way the Arkansas game did 2 years ago for a team that needed to be mad. It needed to be pissed off. And starting the season angry was a really good thing for that team that didn't need more motivation than it already had. But it did need to be pissed off, probably. You saw them play pissed off quite a bit during that season. This team, I think, perhaps I'm making up a quote-unquote narrative here, but, this team's experienced a lot of success. A lot of them have been told for a long time how great they are. They've won a lot of awards. They've made a lot of money. They live pretty comfortable lives. And, Matt Painter talks all the time about being on edge. And you just have to figure that has to be part of their equation this year. There has to be something that drives them beyond just wanting to win. This is going to be another one of those years where every home floor you go, every road game you go to, you are the pig at the luau. And, that's going to require Purdue to be really consistent, but also rise to the occasion on a lot of occasions. And this being, a quote-unquote, this was a road game. And Kentucky wanted to win. All these people here didn't come here to see Kentucky lose. So I think that this was not a regular season game, but it was as close to the real thing as you can possibly get, and a really good simulator for this Purdue team in terms of raising its competitive level to its competitive environment. And, Purdue fell short in some ways here in this game, but what happens in practice here in the next couple of days is what really matters from this game. Evansville won't test them in the opener, but there will be tests to come when they go to the Bahamas, Iowa State, Alabama, Auburn, etc. The one thing really, among many, you have to give Matt Painter credit for is he ducks no one. They will take on all comers in the name of team development and team improvement. They are not afraid to lose. And this was a great example of that. A lot of coaches who aren't as secure in themselves, secure in their job security specifically, wouldn't want to lose ever under any circumstances. So they wouldn't even want to do this. They'd probably want to do a private scrimmage. The whole reason those old private scrimmages were secret, quote-unquote secret, was because coaches didn't want people to know they lost. Painter didn't care. This was a nationally televised loss for the number one team in the country. And you do have to give Painter and Purdue's program in general some credit for being willing to do this. You have to give the administration credit too for this, because there was a point in time where you needed every home game possible for your season ticket package, but also the revenue. Purdue could have had the way Purdue draws, the way that Purdue sells out its building. This was a great example of it here. They sold a lot of tickets for this thing, brought in a lot of revenue. This is a time in college athletics where you may or may not be aware, but every dollar is precious. And Purdue could have said, hey, let's play two D3s, and let's get some more gate revenue here. Let's get some more beer sold. But the administration understands, hey, this is important to us having an elite basketball program, and that's exactly what Purdue's been the last 5 years here. And they have an elite team right now, and that doesn't change because they lost a game that doesn't count against a really good team in a historically revered building right here at Rupp Arena. So that's what I got. This is your GoldandBlack.com wrap, not Rupp, video. Thank you to the Purdue Club Hotel for your support as always. It's been so long I've been talking here that I can't remember if I gave them my shout out on the front end of this video, but thank you to them once again as always. No location here in Lexington yet, surprisingly, but I'll drive back to Shelbyville, Kentucky tonight to my hotel there, and I'll check around for the Union Club Hotel in Shelbyville, Kentucky. Anyway, thanks everybody. We appreciate you watching, appreciate you listening. I'm sorry, I'm not in mid-season form quite yet. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials, no matter how badly fatigued those materials might be. So thanks, everybody. And we'll talk to you again very soon.